Welcome back. In our Taking Back Our Schools segment this week, more evidence that the discussion about labeling parents domestic terrorists was part of a larger conversation within the Biden administration, and MSNBC pushing the notion that kids don't really belong to their parents. Here to discuss that and much more in the fight for better American education is Nicole Neily. She is the president of Parents Defending Education. Nicole, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Your organization was at the forefront of exposing the collusion between the National School Boards Association, the White House, and the Department of Justice over efforts to interfere and even criminalize the speech of parents who opposed critical race theory. Some new information recently has come to light. Can you talk to us about it?
Sure. So we filed public records requests with all of the board members of the National School Board Association to figure out who was read in on that operation, who approved it, because they should be held accountable for it. And as the results have been trickling in from those board members' home school districts, we received one recently that said that the letter was written at the behest of Secretary Miguel Cardona from the Department of Education. And so that's kicked off a new round of questions for us, because this is the first time we've heard his name. And certainly if he asked for this and then it was used as cover by the Department of Justice and Merrick Garland to issue their memo, we deserve to know why, who else was involved, and those people should be held accountable, because this very much smacks of collusion, and it raises a lot of questions as to who was involved and why.
All right. We're going to continue to follow this. Obviously, chilling free speech of parents is something that we're all very concerned about as parents. I want to move on. MSNBC's Melissa Harris Perry is facing some flack for an old video that was pushed out on the network with a very controversial message about the left and parenting. Take a listen.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families, and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investments.
Nicole, you know, when people say, wow, what's going on in education, the left has been telegraphing this for quite some time, this strategy on how they're going to take over education and radicalize our education system, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, once in a while the mask slips like this. But we just saw last week the Michigan Democratic Party put out a social media post that they ended up retracting. And they said, parents are not the client of the public school system. It's public schools' role to teach students what society wants them to know. So it's the communities. The community is the client. You know, we saw that with Terry McAuliffe, where, you know, it's not parents' responsibility to be involved in children's education. And that's why we saw this Mama Bear and Papa Bear uprising, because parents are saying, how dare you? Absolutely not. They're my children at the end of the day, and I will not let you take them away from me. They are not yours, they're mine. Yeah,
absolutely. And I've only got about a minute left with you. Dr. Fauci is talking about how COVID will become endemic and how everybody's going to get it. Now, the data is very clear on the extremely low risk for children, but yet he's doubling down on masking kids, and the Biden administration is considering now a 3-shot regimen for children as young as 2. Do you believe that that is now going to be a major focus for activists this year?
I think so. I mean, we're seeing right now in Virginia parents rising up, outraged that school districts are refusing to comply with the governor's orders on masking. And so I think there's going to be a lot of court action about this. But at the end of the day, it goes back to that question from before. Whose children are they, and who can make these decisions? And, you know, parents are not going to allow other people to make those decisions for their families.
Yeah, you know, it is really the arrogance of power that we see in these school boards, with these teachers' unions, is absolutely staggering. And as a parent, I continue to be totally appalled, and I continue to be very impressed with the work that your organization is doing. And we hope that you'll come back and continue to update us on your activism, because I think it is having an impact. Nicole Neily, Parents Defending Education, thank you for being here.